Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. We're coming to you live from Mainnet 2023 in New York City, and joining us for this segment, we have Nick Day. He's a Managing Editor of Global Policy and Regulation at CoinDesk to discuss the FTX trial, arguably one of the biggest of the crypto space. Nick, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to TradeTalks.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. In CoinDesk, you broke the initial story on Alameda and FTX last November. It's been covered extensively. What has been the overall impact to the crypto industry since then?
I think it's really kind of shaken the foundations of the industry to some extent. We're seeing a lot more companies, it's been a much quieter year for fundraising. We've seen more companies collapse and file for bankruptcy. And of course we're seeing, number of indictments and charges, and some people pleading guilty to criminal charges, some people, of course, going to trial next month. So I think it's really kind of shaken the foundations to a little bit, and we're still waiting to see if the industry will come back from it.
So you're gearing up to provide comprehensive coverage from the courtroom as SBF faces trial. What is that prep like? I mean, how much goes into all the work that you're going to have to do as this is happening?
It's been a lot. It's part of it is just making sure we understand the trial process. Obviously, we're a crypto-focused news organization. Our background is in companies doing things, and we've started covering trials, bankruptcies primarily, starting last June when companies started falling apart. But a criminal trial is a whole different beast. We have to make sure that we're not losing any context when we're saying, oh, the DOJ brought a witness out to say X, Y, Z. We have to make sure that we're up to speed and accurate and all that. But we also don't have phone access or anything like that inside the courtroom, so we'll be sending reporters out to literally phone in, updates as and when they happen. And we're, starting a newsletter. We're trying to be very effective and efficient about, how much context we provide, how often we provide it, and how people can, be able to answer the questions people will have that, they might not even know they're asking about until we see, oh, well, the DOJ is introducing so-and-so as a witness, or they're introducing an AWS database, which is a big thing they've been talking about as part of their evidence.
What do you expect the composition of the jury pool to be like?
So that's a really interesting question. We've been trying to reach out to literally go on the street and ask New Yorkers just that we find and say, hey, are you familiar with FTX? Are you familiar with SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried? And we've gotten a pretty mixed result. There are some people who have no idea about any of this. They don't know anything about crypto. They've never heard of FTX. They're completely unaware of this entire thing that, it was pretty big in crypto, terribly small outside of it. But we've also found a number of people, just again, randomly off the street, who either invested in crypto, invested in FTX tokens specifically, or who are looking for jobs or other work in crypto. We're going to publish that video soon, but I think it's going to be a pretty solid mix of people who are ignorant of this industry and the space and all of that generally, but also some people who are not ignorant and who are, to some extent, who are deeply involved in this, who did, prosecution or defense might not want on the jury because,
That's why I think it's so interesting, because you have such a diverse population. You either know about it or you don't know about it, which obviously bodes well or not for the prosecution or for the defense. What are you going to be listening for in terms of trial that's going to be key, or some potential outcomes? What's really going to be the meat of the news that you're looking for?
So Bankman-Fried's defense seems to be centering around this idea that he was unaware that he was doing anything allegedly illegal. So he has the advice of counsel defense that he's leaning on. So I think what we'll be listening for is if either the DOJ can make the case that either he did not listen to his attorneys when they provided him with advice, that he misled his attorneys when they were reviewing whatever materials he was providing, or that he knew full well that what he was doing was, again, allegedly illegal and did it anyway. From the defensive side, we'll be looking for any proof that they can provide that says either the attorneys, A, knew full well that what Bankman-Fried was doing was illegal, but B, told him to do it anyway, or can otherwise verify and prove that, he was just listening to his lawyers and doing exactly what they told him with all of the alleged misconduct that the prosecution is bringing forward next month, yeah.
It wasn't even just the DeFi space, the TradFi space. It also harmed sports and esports entities, whether it was sponsorships. We also know that there's allegations of influencing political campaigns. Do you think derivative lawsuits can come from other entities just outside of the DOJ?
I am really curious about that. I think probably we'll see some attempts at filing lawsuits. I am less sure about how successful they will be. And also, who will they be filed against, right?
Right.
Sam Bankman-Fried is one defendant. And I think one of the questions, if you're an esports league, if you're a sports league and you're trying to recoup funds, are you going to go after FTX? Are you going to go after Bankman-Fried himself? Are you going to try and go for a combination of them? FTX is where I think most of the recoveries, the money will probably be. And I think some of these companies might even be creditors or, somewhere on that list, maybe further down to recover funds. But at the moment, I think it's just a question of where is the most likely chance of getting some kind of recovery if you're filing a suit.
All right, Nick, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.